Hello my dears, how are you? And welcome to what was going to be the very first of my training videos. I've kind of looked at the personal improvement arena. It's an arena that I've kind of had a really big passion for the last few years, and certainly something I've done a lot of research with. I follow many of the greats, and I wanted to kind of give something back to the community that's kind of helped me so much. So today my first kind of video, a training video, is going to be about change and how you kind of deal with change. It's a subject that a lot of my transgender friends, colleagues and people who I support kind of struggle with. It's like how to cope with the change once they've made the decision to kind of follow their authentic path, to live their truth. I think it's a kind of a question though that can be applied, or a kind of set of coping strategies that can be applied to any kind of period of change. It doesn't matter who you are, where you kind of which change you're going through in your life. I think that a lot of the time people do really struggle with change, and I think it's really important to kind of sometimes take a step back and kind of try and figure out why you're struggling. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you 5 coping strategies that I've kind of developed from having worked with many hundreds of trans people and done 5 years of support work. I'm hoping that you can take these away. I look forward to any feedback you've got on the kind of strategies that I've given you. And okay, so here we go. First of all, I want you to say congratulations. It's a bit of a strange one to start with, but I think a lot of people, when they've kind of made a decision, they become kind of so embroiled in the process and like worrying about what's going to happen, when and where, that they actually take no kind of solace in the fact that they've actually made the decision. Making change is one of the most difficult things that we can do. Kind of the brain has 2 coping mechanisms. It has autopilot and an emergency brake. The brain hates making decisions. We're programmed to kind of avoid things that can cause us hurt and potential harm. So in making a change, you've actually kind of gone against what most people will inevitably do. That most people avoid change because they hate things that are going to be challenging and could hurt them. They kind of want to go with the status quo. You've made a decision to transition or to make a change in your life. Well done. A lot of people don't have the courage to do that. So, give yourself a pat on the back. You're awesome. Okay, the second step is take your time. Now, I find this with a lot of transgender clients. It's a marathon, not a sprint, any change. You need to take time to adjust to your new self. I think all too often, and I'm going to use transgender as an example because it's one that's very personal to me, and also one that I have the most experience of, but you can apply this to any change that you're going to make in your life. When we make change, we want it now. We want it yesterday. We want everything to happen at such a rate that we can kind of be at the end of the process, but actually that would be a bad thing. Could you imagine, for me personally, if 5 years ago I was just about to embark on my transition, I was really, really nervous. I didn't know how things were going to happen, who was going to accept me, how things were going to go, if it was going to go well, if I was going to regret making the decision. But I knew that I'd made the decision and I was going to start doing the process. But I think that, a lot of my adjustment has had taken time. I was in a position in society where I had a lot of privilege. Male privilege is a thing. I know feminists say this, and a lot of men kind of disbelieve them, but having experienced both sides of society, I can totally relate to the fact that I have less privilege now than I used to, and it's taken me time to adjust to that. As with any change, whether it's you're going on a diet, you're leaving a relationship, you're kind of supporting your children through change, I think it's important to recognise the fact that it's a progress. It's not a switch. If it was called, if change or any kind of transition was instantaneous, it would be called switch. It wouldn't be called transition. And any period of change takes its time. So just kind of recognise that. I think to use the cliche, the journey of a marathon starts with 1 step, and it's absolutely true. You just have to kind of have faith in yourself and just, be kind of kind to yourself and just enjoy the process. Okay, which kind of very, I didn't do that deliberately, but, the third thing I want to say to you is enjoy the process. Some people in this arena of self-improvement or kind of experts, whatever you want to call them, some people say It's not about the process, it's about the destination. Screw them, fuck them, I don't care. And I did use the F word there. And you know what? The whole thing about kind of any period of transition is, you know, you're changing into something different. You're going to become something that you weren't before. And enjoy that. You know, you can become too embittered in kind of the end goal or your kind of lack of progress that you actually forget to kind of take stock and look at the person that you're becoming. It doesn't matter if, you know, if your goal is to use 20 pounds and you've lost 5 and you're getting frustrated at the process, you know, you're still 5 pounds lighter than you were when you started your weight loss goal. Whether it's, you know, to run a marathon and you know, you're only hitting 5k and then you're struggling to get beyond that. You know, the fact is that you started and you can run now 5k whereas you couldn't before. And it's the same with a transition, you know, to use my own experience as an example. And a lot of transgender people can relate to this. It's like when you start the process and you're waiting for your clinical appointments to come up and stuff, you can kind of get frustrated in the lack of progress. You can kind of become embittered about the fact that you're having to wait 12 months in between your kind of clinical assessments and stuff. It's going to happen. You just have to kind of enjoy the process. Otherwise, if you become so embittered on the end goal that by the time you get there, you've kind of missed the enjoyment of becoming the person that you want to be. And it's the same with any kind of transition. It doesn't have to be physical, it can be mental, it can be an emotional transition, you know. Give yourself credit, take your time and enjoy the process. You know, you're becoming a person who isn't the person that you were before you started this process. So just kind of be happy that you're building a better life for yourself. And, you know, the transition, once you've completed it, will become a far happier, more celebratory thing. Otherwise, you'll get to the end and you'll have nothing left to celebrate and you'll have been bitter about the whole process. So yeah, enjoy the process. The next thing I want to say to yourself, forgive yourself. I think this is very important, especially with transgender people. Again, I'm drawing in that as my example, but with kind of anyone who's doing a new thing, you're going to make mistakes. Early in my transition, I made many, many mistakes. I have a really, really wonderful friend now who she teaches emotional mastery and stuff. Her name's Angela. Hi, babe. And you know, certainly when I first met her, I treated her in a way that wasn't pleasant, that was very unkind, and how I wouldn't want to be treated. And certainly it was a mistake that I wish I hadn't made, but it was so important that I learnt it, because in learning that mistake of how I was and how I behaved towards her, I became a better person for it. And, you know, it's the same as like anyone who's new to a thing is going to make mistakes, you know, whether it's running and you try and do a bigger distance too quickly, or it's losing weight and you cut out all carbs and stuff and then you lose loads of weight and then you crash and you plateau and you're getting frustrated with yourself and stuff. It's like, it doesn't matter. You pig out, you've lost 10 pounds and you think, yeah, I'm going to celebrate. And then you go out and have a takeaway and then you put on another 2 pounds. It doesn't matter. You're going to make mistakes. So it's absolutely fine. You know, early on, very many people make mistakes in their any transition. And, you know, that's part of the process. Recognizing that you're going to make mistakes and moving on from that and learning it from them, rather than kind of holding them close and being really bitter about them, is actually a really positive thing. So just enjoy the process, you know, forgive yourself. You know, the first thing that anyone sorry, I'm just looking at my notes, I don't want to forget anything. The first thing that kind of anyone does when they kind of make a mistake is kind of get really angry with themselves. Let it go. If you want to grow, let it go. You know, it's really important that you kind of don't lose sight of the fact that you're new to this. You know, you're making changes and you're doing things that perhaps you haven't done in the last however many months or years. And, you know, you're going to make mistakes. Everybody does when they're new at something. It's absolutely fine. The most important thing is to forgive yourself and to keep going. And one of the most important things that I can actually say to anyone who is going to make any change in their life, whatever it is, seek support. You are going to find times in your life when you're dealing with something new, and no matter what it is, you're going to kind of struggle with that. And, you know, you don't have to go out there and reinvent the wheel. I guarantee you, no matter what thing you are trying to do, out of 7 billion people on the planet, there's 3 billion people on Facebook, you know, there's however many billion on people on YouTube, someone is out there who is crushing and doing what you want to do period. There is no one who has not gone through what you're looking to go through and achieve and do. So kind of seek support in that, whether it's researching articles, whether it's, you know, looking at YouTube videos, whether it's reading blogs, whether it's going on Facebook groups, whatever it is. You know, very early on in my transition, I made the mistake that I didn't want to align myself with the transgender community, and that was kind of my own transmisogyny, but also I think it was the fact that, you know what, fuck it, I can do this and no one else is going to be able to support me in this. And then I remember watching My Transgender Summer, I think that's what it was called, on Channel 4. It had Fox Fisher and Lewis Hancock's and, you know, some of the others, on Sarah Savage and others like that, who kind of, you know, certainly Fox Fisher I've become friends with on Facebook and social media since then. But, you know, you cannot put enough value on kind of taking coping strategies and advice from people who've been through that situation. But also in watching My Transsexual Summer on Channel 4, I kind of saw people who were struggling and who had like gone through the stuff that I was struggling with, and that really made me determined to kind of seek out the support of my peers. I then went to a trans support group in Bournemouth, and, you know, after about 3 months of therapy, I come to a stage where I didn't need therapy anymore, and I was able to offer support to others. And, you know, for the last 4.5 years, I have been supporting other trans people and other LGBT people online, you know, through my LGBT support network and through Debbie Cannon, my page on Facebook. But, you know, ultimately, I think your peers will often give you perspective that you can't see because you're stuck in, you know, your own kind of depression, your own struggle and stuff. And quite often you are doing far, far better than you kind of think that you are. I think all too often we're so kind of embroiled in the process and the struggles and everything else that we kind of fail to see a lack of progress. You know, get feedback from the people that you trust, you know. You can get feedback from people who hate you and they're going to be a jerk, and of course they are because they don't like you, but, you know, get feedback from people that you trust, or from people who, you know, have kind of succeeded in the kind of area or the phenomenon that you want to make a progress in. And certainly, you know, even if you don't like what they say about, you know, the things that you're going through, I think ultimately they might be able to give you a few takeaways that will help you to progress and get better at the thing that you're trying to achieve. So please, please, please do seek the support of your peers. I think it's absolutely vital. You know, you can learn from those who have done and are successful in the things that you're trying to achieve. So, you know, please, 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 my dears, do that. I hope you found this video useful on this training session, that you can take at least one thing from it. But, you know, I think if you kind of, if I had to give a synopsis of the whole kind of training session, the last 13 minutes, thank you if you're still watching, is just be kind to yourself. You know, you're going to struggle, you're going to make mistakes, it's absolutely fine. The whole process of kind of being a new you is the fact that you are learning. You're not going to get it right the whole time, and that's fine. You know, if often, and I'm going to say this and add this as an ending, if you're getting something right, you're never going to reflect and think, now why did I get that right? It's always in times of struggle that we analyse, that we kind of look at our behaviours and what we're doing and then the effect that we have on others, etc. And then you kind of develop yourself and make yourself a better person. So quite often it's the times of struggle that you will actually learn the most about yourself. So keep going, be kind to yourself, be yourself, no one else. If you would think that anyone would share, in sharing this video, would benefit from this, then please do so. Share it far and wide, because I want as many people to get a benefit from my kind of experience and expertise in kind of dealing with such a dramatic change. Thank you everyone for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel so I can share more training and videos with you. In my website, if you can subscribe to that as well, I'll send you out a blog weekly that kind of goes along with the training session that gives a summary. Thank you again. Though I also do one-on-one coaching, so you can kind of contact me through the website for any one-on-one coaching that you want. And I look forward to sharing the next training video with next week. Until then, be yourself, no one else. Take care. Bye.